Welcome back to the channel, friends. Now every month I set aside 2,000 euros to invest. Now when I started off investing, of course that amount was significantly less, and I also had times when it was higher. However, right now I'm in the midst of starting my own business. I transitioned from my corporate career over the last 15 years to starting my own business, but I also have many different expenses this year alone because we bought a new place in Vilnius, Lithuania, where we live between Lithuania and the UAE over here in Dubai, rented a place, bought a car here. So a lot of expenses. Unfortunately, right now, I have to live with 2,000 euros. Of course, ideally, I want to increase that going forward because, of course, the more you invest now, your future self will thank you for it. So my goal is to continuously increase my investable amount every single month. But for the time being, it is what it is. So in this video, I want to talk to you about how much I invest, how I invest and where I invest, and hopefully it can help yourself also in making your own decisions. It doesn't matter, even you start off with 50 euros, 100 euros, these amounts are relative. It's more the principle and having a strategy in place and making sure you live by it and really consistently allocate the money towards your investments to grow it over time. That's the real important thing, to stick with it, not just do it one-off and then forget about it, because that does very little to your investments over time. Even you invest one time 10,000 euros in months, which sounds great, which is amazing and well done if you can, but then you forget to continue investing or adding to that amount for the next month or even years. Well, to be honest, a person investing much less but regularly every month will probably soon surpass your net worth in that way. So that's very important, to consistently add and contribute towards your investments. Now, I have spoke about previously about my 3-pillar investment strategy. The first one being real estate. I have right now 2 apartments that I wholly own in Dubai, UAE, fully paid off, and now I'm really benefiting from the capital appreciation over time and, of course, the monthly rent that is paid to me. Actually, it's paid 1 year in advance. So that's really pure profit for me, which is, of course, very nice. The apartment we bought together with my wife in Vilnius, Lithuania, it's not going to be for any financial gains, but hopefully it will appreciate in value over time. But that's just for personal use when we spend time over there in summers to escape the heat in Dubai. And right now, I'm actually not really contributing any of my monthly investable amount towards real estate, because technically that's already my biggest value, my biggest part of my investments stuck in that real estate pocket, in that pillar, because obviously it takes the highest amount of capital to buy real estate, right? So in the past, I put pretty much everything towards that when I paid off my investments. So literally every month, the income I got, I think it was like 60 or 70% of that went towards paying off my real estate. So now that this is done, I'm happy with it. So of course, in the future, I would like to continue adding some real estate, but that's not my only investment class. And right now, I rather focus on growing some of my other asset classes, and I come to this in a second. And then over time, potentially, if I want to buy another real estate apartment, I can use some of those where I contributed money to that grew in value, sell that off and use those funds to buy another real estate. Because obviously you need some capital to either have a down payment if you want to finance it, right? Usually it depends where you are. In Europe, it can be 5 to 10% of the total property value you need to have in cash to give to the bank, and they will finance the rest. In the UAE, it's even higher. I think it's up to 40%. So you need a lot more money to get started buying real estate. But right now, I'm actually not planning to add yet another real estate to my portfolio. I'm happy once the one we bought in Lithuania will be finished, and for the time being, that will be it. The next one will probably be one here in Dubai, but for us to live in, not to rent out. With this, we move to the second investment pillar, which is my Bitcoin holding. Now, I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, meaning in terms of cryptocurrencies, now there are a lot of tokens and currencies out there that you could invest in. A lot of people like to invest in Ethereum and some of the meme coins and what have you. And I dabbled around with a lot of them. But in the end, I always kept on coming back to, yes, you guessed it, Bitcoin. I understand it. I get it. It has a proven track record. You have now big companies like BlackRock and even institutional funds and so forth investing into it. There are ETFs around it. So for me, it just gives more credibility to it. And as I said, I understand it. And that's for me most important, that I understand what I invest in, not just speculate into some random coins that I hope will do over time. I've done that in the past, I must admit. And while I did make some money in the short term, in the long term, I actually lost the money. So I stay away from it. And once again, just focus on Bitcoin. However, right now, when you look at my holding over here, this is inside my Ledger Live hardware wallet. Well, it's a quite significant amount for me, right? Obviously, it's significantly less than my real estate holdings, but it's the second biggest holding out of the 3 asset classes that I have. Meaning I actually have more Bitcoin than I have ETFs. And while in a way I'm happy with it, right? It also means that it grew faster over time. So not everything is my own money. There's a lot of gains that I had over time. But overall, when I compare it out to the 3, then actually it's a little bit too much for me, meaning that right now, while I would love to buy more Bitcoin, and in the future I hope to continue buying it, right now I focus buying more ETFs rather than Bitcoin, because as a percentage holding for me is just too much right now. And I would like to balance it more to ideally have real estate as my number one holding, then ETFs, and only then Bitcoin. So I definitely need to contribute more money into my ETFs going forward to overtake the Bitcoin holdings. Now, having said that, of course, if the price for Bitcoin starts exploding and goes to 500,000 or 1 million, all these crazy numbers we've heard being thrown around in recent times, I'll be more than happy. But from my own money right now, I just don't think I want to contribute more to it. Now, I do get little additions here and there because I stake some of my crypto on Nexo, so I get a bit of interest over there, as well as some of my affiliate income is paid to me in Bitcoin. So the monthly holding does go up a little bit, but not significantly. And as I said, I'm not personally planning to add more to it right now, even though I think it's a good price to buy. If it wasn't already such a big holding of mine, I would continue to contribute towards it. But as I said, I want to have a better balance across these three different investment classes, especially between Bitcoin and ETFs, at least to be on the same level, ideally ETFs on top of my Bitcoin holding. And that brings me to my ETFs. Now, I started off investing in individual companies, high tech growth companies, then moved to dividend paying companies. And I was very happy with this, seeing my dividends grow month over month. But eventually I realized that wasn't for me and I could not outperform the markets actually. So then I sold all of it and moved completely into the S&P 500 ETF. That was until recently, where I decided to add yet another ETF to my portfolio. So now the majority of my holdings will be in the S&P 500, but now I also started a smaller position in the NASDAQ 100, which has even higher concentration in tech-heavy companies. So I'm really doubling down and benefiting, hopefully, in the long term from that growth and fuel in the tech industry to have even higher returns potentially. Over the last few years, the NASDAQ 100 has outperformed the S&P 500. But at the same time, I still want to have a sort of balanced approach and focus more on the S&P to be more diversified and have a bit more stable but predictable growth. Because of course, while tech can potentially outgrow the S&P over a longer period, there's also the risk of more volatility and a potential downturn. So nobody knows. That's why I decided to have a split of around 70% in the S&P 500 and 30% into the NASDAQ 100. And right now I'm really using 3 different brokers to split my ETF purchases. The biggest one being Interactive Brokers. Made a number of videos around the broker. I think it's one of the most solid brokers with international presence, stock listed company in the US, and arguably one of the biggest one in the world. And you can see obviously my portfolio here around 56K. And if I go into the portfolio itself, well, actually right now here, I only have one ETF left, and that's the S&P 500 ETF. That's actually the SPY 5. And you can see I'm up here over $3,500. Now, obviously I bought this not so long ago, because previously I used to buy another ETF where I also had even more gains. That was the VUSA ETF by Vanguard. However, I sold it off because actually the expense ratio for me was a bit too high, and I bought it in euro currency. But now that I moved to Dubai, earn all my income in dollars, I wanted to also invest in dollars. So I decided to go with the SPY 5, which is the State Street S&P 500 UCITS ETF distributing. So it means it pays out the dividend to me on a quarterly basis. And yeah, I buy it in London in dollars, and I'm really happy with this. So what I mean is, if I factor in the gains from the previous ETF, it would be even higher. But so far, since buying that not so long ago, I'm already up quite significantly. Now, the second broker I use to buy my ETFs is Trading 212. And why I like it? Because here you have 0 commissions on stocks and ETFs. So I really love it. And you can see right now my holding over here. And yeah, here I actually started buying the NASDAQ 100, which funnily enough, I couldn't find on Interactive Brokers, the exact one that I wanted to buy, which is the iShares NASDAQ 100 accumulating one of the biggest UCITS ETFs based on the NASDAQ 100. So I just started recently a position on that. So actually here, it's pretty much 50-50 with my S&P holding. So this ETF is exactly the same as I buy on Interactive Brokers. So yeah, really love Trading 212. Also made a number of videos around this topic. If you want to check it out, then use my link down in the description below, and you'll get a free share valued up to $100 to get you started. Honestly, amazing platform. And the cool thing is I also get money on my uninvested cash. So while it sits here waiting to invest it, you can see here, I get currently up to 4.6% on my US dollar. So really amazing. And that does start adding up over time. And here we are in the third broker that I mostly use, which is eToro. And honestly, been really loving the experience. Started only recently, but you can see already my portfolio is up. You see over here, once again, I have the 2 ETFs, my SPY 5 that I buy in London in dollars, as well as my iShares NASDAQ 100 that I also buy in London. So both of them are here. Now, there's a lot of reasons why I do love using eToro, such as instant deposits into eToro platform via my credit card without any fees. So literally, I just use my credit card. It's immediately over there deposited without any fees. So absolutely love it. And I can go ahead and do my weekly stock buys with it. Plus, just like trading 2-on-2, there's no commissions on ETF trades, contrary to interactive brokers, which sometimes makes me reluctant to use them because every time I buy the same ETF that I buy in London, I pay around $1.70, which does add up over time. And one cool thing is they have different club tiers. So over time, the more you add to your portfolio and it grows over time, you get a lot of different benefits, such as the one you see over here that I'm getting right now. I even have a dedicated account manager. And last time I jumped with her on a call and we had a one-to-one. It's super cool. I can WhatsApp her for any questions around eToro. Absolutely amazing. And that comes free of charge just by having my money over there. So definitely I'm planning to soon reach platinum level because that will give me a host of different benefits on top of what I already have. And one of such benefits is that you will get the Delta portfolio tracker completely free of charge for the Pro version, which gives you amazing features that can integrate and track all your various brokers. And yeah, really like the interface overall. And the cool thing is you can link your brokers to it and automatically track your total net worth. Because instead of going into all of those 3 brokers individually, I just link them up and I can see easily my total net worth and see that hopefully grow over time very easily. I also have it as an app on my phone with a widget, so I can really easily see what it is and how much I actually have in ETFs. So as you saw, my ETF holdings is still less than my Bitcoin holding, but I happen to see the progress over time as I, in the last few months, only allocated towards ETFs and not towards Bitcoin. And as the S&P continues to climb as well, and sadly Bitcoin has been flatlining, I think eventually I will catch up, at least to get to the same level, and then in the future also outgrow the Bitcoin holdings. And then going forward, once I am at such a stage, probably allocate around 70% towards the S&P holding and 30% towards Bitcoin holding. So that's the kind of goal overall. But for the time being, as I mentioned right now, I'll only allocate towards my ETF holdings. And the split there is around 70% towards the S&P 500 and 30% towards the NASDAQ 100. I haven't set up any automatic buys. I usually do it manually every single Monday. If, however, the market's up really high that particular day, I will just wait for the next following days to see if there's a little bit of a dip. Now, I will not try to market time because that's difficult. I really commit to buying every single week. So worst case, if by Friday the market is still in the green, I'm still going to go ahead and do my stock buys that week just to keep the consistency over time. However, for most people, I actually recommend to put your investments on autopilot and set it up so you don't have to worry about it. Set it and forget it, and then it will be done on your behalf every single week or month, however you prefer. And if you want to learn how you can easily do it yourself, then check out this video over here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. It helps it to be seen by more people. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.